Alright, I think we're live. Cool. So, yep, one second, helping my kids. Alright, so today, got about 2 hours. Definitely going to be playing this game, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. So, I have a lot to say about this one. I'm a huge fan of the Zelda series. And I figured I could just get started. I can start saying words. Because it's got an intro and all that. Alright, so as a recap, this is the third game I'm playing from as part of the David Perry challenge. So in 2013, David Perry, game designer, he was being interviewed by a YouTube studio called Design 3 that no longer exists, and he offered a public challenge that if anybody played through the top 100 games, most popular games, and analyzed them and essentially wrote a book report about it, then about each one of them, then he would endorse them during a job interview. And so I'm doing that. I'm not necessarily looking for the job interview endorsement. I work in the industry as a game designer, but I figured it would just be a really good experience and continuing education for me to do that. So that's what I'm doing. Now, this game in particular has an incredible tutorial as well. So previously we played Breath of the Wild, and its opening sequence was incredible. The Great Plateau has an amazing tutorial, and this one is up there in the best tutorials ever, up there with Portal and maybe the original Mario Brothers. And so, because we're going to be playing through this first dungeon, I'm going to say words about it while we play through it, and hopefully there's something interesting that comes out of it. We'll see. Now, a lot about what's cool about this game is the context in its transition as a series from 2D into 3D. And in this particular case, the transition was very graceful. Not all series were able to make the transition from 2D to 3D as gracefully. So there were some trade-offs in the design that made it so that this series shifted pretty hardcore between the 2D and the 3D games, but in general, I think they managed to capture a lot of the spirit of Zelda and not really lose sight of what they were aiming for. Eventually, I'm going to get to a game that I've never played before, but three games in, and the ones that I owned already, 3 for 3 I've already played. Alright. So I think this is interesting. This is the one one single area in this game that's like a throwback to the original Zelda controls, the top down, move it around. And I wonder if this was put in kind of like, oh, everyone's going to be so unfamiliar with how to make this game work, and then throw them into this whole 3D landscape here. But then they put in that 3D intro cinematic that didn't have quite the same impact. Who knows? A bunch of last minute decisions, I'm sure. Is it even okay to not do a backflip off this thing? I've played this game so many times over the years. So I was, let's see, how old was I? I was like 11 or 12 or something when this game came out. Maybe younger? 10? Maybe 10. Okay, so before I just start blasting through this, let's take a look at this opening intro area. So it's not quite as perfect of a microcosm as the rest of as Breath of the Wild, but it's pretty darn close. Mostly it just feels more like a tutorial area than Breath of the Wild's did. So you know, you talk to people, you learn how to lock on. I'm not sure I like that. Can I change my settings here? Button mappings. I've actually never played this on the Switch's emulator before, so this will be a new experience. Yeah, so you talk to people, you run around, you learn how to run across things and automatically jump just ahead. Yeah, where do they teach you explicitly that you can just run towards things and... Is it this? Yeah, stepping stones in the pond. If you boldly go in the direction you want to jump, you will leap automatically. If you hop around on the stones, you'll become happier, meaning you're gonna get rich. Rich, I tell ya, rich! Hiding rupees around in the grass. Hardcore grass. You really have to, especially up here, there's this bridge on the top of the house. So the camera follows you pretty decently up there, but as soon as you get up here, if you want to have any success making it across this bridge, not being a tremendously successful 3D game player because they didn't exist, then you're going to have to learn how to Z-target to get the camera behind you again. It's pretty good. Alright, let's find out how... It's interesting trying to play this game from the perspective of a new player. It's been so many years. Welcome! 40 rupees. Okay. So, interesting, they don't give you any items to attach to your C buttons yet. Oh yeah, okay, so everything's telling me go to see the Great Deku Tree. Okay, so figure out what the Great Deku Tree is. We'll go do that. You aren't even fully equipped yet. Envy. The sin of little minds. Alright, so I need a shield. and a sword. So I already know the shield costs 40 rupees. So gotta run around, collect a bunch of rupees. Oh, cutting signs. Oh, I don't have a sword though. How in the world will I cut things with my sword? It's all these things that I managed to figure out when I was a kid, but I don't actually know how I figured them out. Whole of Z. I mean, was it legitimately just me reading everything and because I was interested? I feel like you wouldn't be able to get away with doing this kind of opening tutorial today. It's not explicit enough. $34 rupees. Woohoo! We are in fact rich. Hidden treasure of the Kokiri. But you can borrow it for a while. Requirement that you go through the menu to equip it. I remember as a kid the action the action context button, your A button, was really hard for me to figure out. I think them being color coordinated made a lot of sense, and I don't have a problem with it. In reality, I think it was just difficult for me to navigate, making sure it was in the right context, and sometimes I didn't explicitly know what I was doing. Yeah, Breath of the Wild, every time you sprint, you put your sword away. I wonder why they did that. Yay, got the Deku Shield. So I did a ROM hack for this forever ago. And everyone had basically stolen your sword and your Deku Shield and hid them as like a prank. And so now that's kind of like my own headcanon. Accidentally finding this and has my own name written on it. Just funny. Oh my goodness. I already did that. Breh. Already did that. Good grief. Yeah. Don't entertain envy, y'all. You'll end up like Mido. So the N64 controller does not map to a traditional gamepad very well. Putting the C buttons on the C stick works enough, but it's not very great for, I don't know, the tactile button feedback, and it can kind of flip around and stuff if you're trying to shoot things. Okay, so from a story perspective, this is really the beginning of everything. So if the opening image of a beat sheet was me looking or having the nightmares, and then it shows the setup here. This is part of the setup. Is initially like, oh look, you're in this carefree area, but you know that something's wrong because your nightmares. And then you talk to the Deku Tree, and the Deku Tree is like, hey, something's really wrong. I need you to enter in and figure out what's causing problems. Then this here would be part of the setup. And I'm going to assume that the catalyst is when the Deku Tree dies. We'll see. Could make a case for that. Okay, I just love these dungeons. Alright. This one in particular, like I said, just might be the quintessential beginning 3D Zelda dungeon. Oh man, come on. That's what I wanted. So I have previously mapped my controllers, my Xbox inspired controllers, to have swinging sword be on the right stick, like the new Skyward Sword remaster. And now I'm kind of muscle memoried to it. It's not ideal, but I kind of like it. And then it gives you all the buttons on the right side to be mapped to your C sticks, or your C buttons. So I don't like that. Okay. The pressing to lock on instead of holding to lock on is an interesting default. Nailed it. Alright, so the flow of this... Oh my goodness. That is kind of a just-in-time information tooltip, but it's walking up to it as opposed to climbing on it, and that makes it a little obtrusive, similar to this one. It's like, you have to know how to open a door, but it might be better if they had it flip this at you if you actually touch the door. Oh man, there we go. '23 is number 1. Nope, not this one. You wishing pain on me, mister? Okay, hearts, C buttons, 3D, dungeon. So for being a very vertical dungeon, I think it's interesting first off that it is a vertical dungeon. That you start on the ground floor and you go up, and whenever you have a problem you kind of fall back down to this middle area. Floor of the dungeon. Because it's kind of like you go up really high, but there's not a lot of punishment for falling down. It's mostly like just keep practicing. Now this is very much a puzzle. Obviously it's a puzzle, but the reason I bring it up is these 3D dungeons are much more slow-paced and puzzle-oriented than they are action-oriented. If you think of the opening dungeon in A Link to the Past, for example, you go underneath the princess's castle and there's just rats running around everywhere, little cobras, and you got armed guards that are walking around that'll chase you and stuff like that. Not a lot of that happens here. Everything's really stationary and easy for you to figure out. Which, if I'm being honest, is probably very much appreciated. I mean, I can handle the combat now after playing this game for, you know, some 20 or odd years of my life, or whatever. More than 20 years of my life. But the difficulty in controlling a 3D environment versus controlling a 2D environment or character in a 2D environment is there's a stark difference. I find this room kind of interesting because unlike most rooms, most puzzle rooms, this one doesn't, you'd expect that you'd get the thing and then it would open the door for you, but that's not how it works. Like, go complete the thing in the room. Then, once you have completed the thing in the room, the door would open. And that's how it is for the most of the game. But yeah, I did. But in this room, I'm trying to understand how I would have figured out how to get out of here. It looks like that torch was burning not too long ago. Strong iron bars are blocking the door. You can't open them with your hands. Okay, so why in the world would I, as a 10-year-old, figure this out? I either am not giving 10-year-olds enough credit, or this room was stupid hard. And I can't imagine that Nintendo didn't playtest this first dungeon to death, because it's kind of a big deal. And then also this idea of jumping all the way down to that hole. Like, I remember spending a whole lot of time trying to figure out what kind of hole that was that I was jumping down to. But jumping down to the hole isn't necessarily intuitive. And I mean, I know that so just think through this a little bit. That was pretty cool. So if I'm trying to get this heart over here, and maybe you know, it's like I'm going back and forth and trying to explore and understand the 3D space. So if I try and come over and get this, then I jump and I land on that, and it's like, oh, that's bouncy. And then Navi says, look, you can see down below. And then I can. Oh look, there's stuff down there. So what is it? At what point do you make the leap of logic? I mean, it's not a leap of logic. How do you make the inference that the way to get down there is by going all the way to the top and jumping down? Because it's not necessarily obvious. Yeah. Is it, oh, there's another heart out there, maybe I can jump and get that heart? Because I could see that being a nice little string of coins for you to follow. But needless to say, you do eventually make it down here. And you've gone from the middle floor, on the ground floor, up to the top floor, up in his leaves, the Great Deku Tree's leaves. And then down into the basement. Okay, so then how do we know how to get through this door? So how does Nintendo set this puzzle up for us? They definitely don't treat you like an idiot in this game. They do set things up that are very obvious, like, oh, there's a switch, I can flip that. You flip the switch. Like, oh yeah, that burned that spider web. Okay, I get that. But this doesn't actually do anything, you know? It's just opened up this. So now, in your head, you've got bare minimum, you know that fire will burn this spider web. But what if I didn't go and get the compass? What if I didn't get trapped in that room with where I was forced to learn that you could use a Deku stick? I'm trying to decide if this is just like not as polished of a design as it could have been, or if I don't respect and trust players enough. Because I can see the holes in this game, in this non-failure state opening dungeon. Logic. Alright, this guy's the 23's number one. Two, three, one. 23 is number one. Sorry, Queenie. Alright, so this guy, I mean, that's very obviously different than the other things. Let's see, if I go and slice these, do I only get seeds? Nope, monies. Well, maybe... What if I'm... So here's some logic. You know, you'd expect, like, here, let me give you a hint by giving you seeds. And that would make sense if I... Yeah, okay, so these only give out seeds and money. But they only give out money if my seeds are full. So what if I came into this room like I did, and my seeds were full? Then I wouldn't get the hint. Interesting, looking at this dungeon with such a designer eye. But I know people that don't play a lot of games that have played this dungeon. And they may not have ever gotten further, but they do find this interesting, this dungeon to be interesting. So I think part of it is, you know, you can certainly portal polish your dungeons, or you can also respect your player. Which in itself is an interesting term, because to do otherwise assumes that, or to, you know, like, what does it mean to not respect your player? Is it to pander to the player? Yeah, I don't know. Link and his superpowers. My 5-year-old was like, this is a whole lot of strength that this little kid has. Yeah, so boxes in particular, the context, the blue context menu was difficult for me, because you had to be like close enough and then let go and then grab it and then push forward. And I remember that being pretty hard for me when I was still learning how the game worked. See, right here is a hint of what you need, right? Because this guy... This guy gives you sticks. And that guy will easily give you sticks. What does this guy give you? Money. So maybe seeds. Yeah, like use a stick, use a stick, use a stick. The trick here is that they've leveled up lighting torches. You've been lighting one torch at a time. And now it's light up light up 2 torches without it burning out. Okay, so as far as combat goes in this game, it's really not that amazing. I think it's really functionally fine. And mostly in context, from transitioning from 2D combat that was entirely open and flexible to combat that's in this 3D environment, and it was really difficult. There's the historical context about how it was made that I think is interesting, where they the development team was on a walk through a nearby, I don't know, I think it was a farmer's market, but they basically went into a tent and were watching a play, a little like historical play, and somebody took a, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Gonna say the wrong word, so I'm not gonna try, but a ball and a chain, a ball attached to a chain, and the samurai threw it and wrapped it around the bad guy's arm, and that fixed distance between the two of them became, you know, the lock-on targeting for this. Okay, so this is a very Nintendo good puzzle design. I love this. You know, we've circled back around to a room that we've already been to, so we know this is kind of a second floor hub world down here. We couldn't get up here before. We had to go through that door and then wrap around through several rooms and then come out here to get up here. But I can really easily backtrack by dropping that block down. And not only is it easy to backtrack, but it's a requirement, because to get through here I need to make inferences of things that I've learned. In this room I burned I used this torch to burn that spider web. And then in the room that we just came from, I needed to run from halfway across the room to get a torch to burn that spider web in there. I've also smashed through these before, but I don't have the ability to jump down anywhere, so I can see, you know, like rolling around, trying to figure it out, trying to slash at it, it's not working, going, well, maybe I can burn it. But to burn it, I can't get my stick on fire, but maybe I could get my stick on fire from here, so you really have to make several spatial leaps. I think this is the best, like, culmination of puzzles in the entire dungeon. And to be able to get there in time, because your Deku stick is on a timer, you need to you need to be competent enough with your ability to control Link and get around. So it's a pretty cool combination of things. So this one, 2, 3, 1. I'm sure this is not super hard. Once again, it's kind of like things aren't super explicit in this game, like they are in more modern games, where they basically just tell you the exact scenario you need to do the thing. How irritating. I'm so irritated, I'm gonna tell you how to beat the queen. That makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. Okay, now this boss is a great intro boss. It's really, I mean, it just captures the essence of 3D Zelda so well. And it's ominous, a little mysterious. It's just great. You know the thing's walking around on the ceiling. And eventually it's like, hey, just like Valve needs to teach you to look up. They keep teaching you to look up in this game. Oh. And this is the first, like, real enemy, right? Because you've seen spiders, you've seen... Wait. I'm pretty sure I didn't actually hit it. Learning the controls. Hold on. There we go. Absolutely demolished. Okay, so Breath of the Wild, it took me about an hour to get through the tutorial. I just finished the tutorial in Ocarina of Time, and it clocked me in about 40 minutes, between 40 and 45 minutes. Alright, so yes, I'll listen. Wicked Man of the Desert. .6,800 kilobytes per second, huh? Okay. See if I can get better bitrate tomorrow. So, catalyst here, so what defines a catalyst in the Save the Cat beat sheet is after seeing the fact that you can't live the life that you've been living previously, the stasis equals death moment. Once you've established that the main characters, the heroes, life should change, then something happens to them to actually shake them out of that, because they're not going to shake themselves out of it. And I would say that the Deku Tree dying here is a really good job of that. So we're establishing all these things that things are not right. I don't really fit in with all of my friends in the Kokiri Forest. I have a fairy, but nobody really respects me. So then I get this information that there's a wicked man from the desert that cursed the Deku Tree. And I don't know how bad that is yet. I'm learning about this outside world. I'm living a very small life in comparison. Don't do it. Don't let him do it. I love how I just absolutely let him in. wholesale in hardly any time at all. Aw, man. Yeah, this is pretty shaking. Shaken up as a 10-year-old boy here. If I'm Link from a story perspective. I'm given this thing, told that I can never let this evil wicked man from the desert get the Triforce. The future depends on me. Now you guys are stuck. You have to decide what you're gonna do. Kinda like, alright. Everything's different now. How could you do a thing like that? It's all your fault. Yeah, Mato's not really very... He's a big guy in his small world, as we'll learn when we come back as a grown-up. Look, I'm bigger than when I got in there, because now I have 4 hearts. So let's get out of here. Let's skedaddle. This was very impactful to me as a young kid. Saying goodbye to your friends like this. And this is the most child thing to do ever. I'm just gonna go now. The wisest of the Kokiri, Soraya. Fate. So, I know the graphics aren't as good as they were when they came out. I know that. Yes, I got all that. This is really very cool and very expansive and stuff when I was a kid. Also, these things suck. Not even gonna mess around with those. Now, there are things to do, but there aren't that many things to do. We're still being funneled pretty solidly over here to the castle. I do find it interesting that you will always run into a night sequence out here. Even if you go directly to the castle, they timed it. They timed the day-night cycle and the distance to the castle to be just so that you run into these guys in the middle of the night. Which are legitimate enemies, and I guess they're the first real moving enemy other than Goma, because the spiders don't move, and maybe the Deku, no, even the Deku scrubs, they kind of hop up and hop down when you're fighting them, and they don't really shoot at you until you get back into their little areas. Oh yeah. Blue Ruby, huh? That's how you know you're living large. So you can go to Kakariko Village. You can go to Zora's, well, the beginning of Zora's river, but it's blocked by bombs. I guess you could go to not Romani Ranch, Lon Lon Ranch. Not gonna do you a ton of good though, because I mean, I guess you could probably learn the Epona song there. Or no, she's here at the castle right now, so it wouldn't do a ton of good to spend time there. So while I guess there are technically places to go, they're still funneling you directly over to Malon, over to see the princess. This feels similar to how in Breath of the Wild they, all the way up to the end of Act 1 like this, is fairly heavy-handed, and then the beginning of Act 2 is when the world opens up. Don't want to hear what you have to say again. Yeah, they're not super subtle. Like similar to the inside the dungeon, it was wanted to know how it was that I knew as a child to get around. Like what was the structure of the progression, and it seems like it's none too subtle. Oh man. I'm just a lowly fairy boy in a big bad world. That's interesting to have her out there. Then you have to leave to come back. So it tells me what they wanted was for you to try to get into the castle, get stuck, get kicked out, and then stumble across her to get the solution. They wanted it to be a big deal that you broke in. They're kind of pushing you around to exploring, even though it's so linearly structured. Like, there's linear stuff, but it's also not that. They don't need you to follow the plot immediately. You can wander around and feel the vastness and the openness of the world, which is pretty cool. Is this 3D model? I think it is. Its wings or not. Okay, that's why it's kind of confusing me. It's got all these little sprites sticking up at these different angles, but the base of it is a 3D model. Dead end. Don't even think of going there. Now, I don't know how I know this path. I mean, it was probably trial and error. Maybe it was drawn out in a strategy guide, and I followed that. But at this point, I don't even know where the guards are. I just run and follow this specific path every single time because I know it works. So let's take this opportunity and listen to him snoring and see if we can infer or talk about some design choices here. So what are the core mechanics of this game? Well, you've got your running around, your exploring movement mechanics are simplified. It's not a platformer, it's not like Mario 64. Which means that the jumping and stuff, I mean, mostly it's just to enable you to get around the world as smoothly as possible without really causing too much ruckus. Accessibility, that's really like how can we make it so navigating a 3D world is not the worst experience ever. Challenge and progression it's not really difficult, but you do feel this sense of progression because you're constantly getting new items. You're making it. I mean, this is like traditional key lock design for a Zelda game here. Like, you know, you beat a dungeon. You know, you got the next plot point. You got the next item. You got a new heart piece. Everything is handcrafted content. that you're clearing. So it is that kind of a game, right? It's not really a systems-based game. It's a content-based game that has decent, controls and stuff in it. So you're exploring through the content that they've taken many years to create for you. The graphics and art style, it's bright and cartoony-ish. It's bold. It's cheerful. This follows in the thread of the previous Zelda games. It's definitely a colorful game. It's not going from moody and dark. To wait for Twilight Princess for that, and even that was moody, or it wasn't as moody as other games from the same era of the late 2000s. Graphics, tricks, or noteworthy technical aspects. I think a lot of it is how do you control the camera. The camera is difficult to figure out, especially on the 64 controller that didn't really have the best. Oh please, oh please, oh please. Nice. Definitely took longer than I should have to do what I did. Ooh. I'm trying to be extra bold to not waste time and ended up wasting time. Silly me. I've messed around with the source code and hex code of this game enough to know that it's basically held together by duct tape and silly string. So, just like any game, it's amazing that it works. It's a technical marvel that it works. It does some really cool things. The fact that this is a tiny game, less than 4 megabytes, sitting on a computer chip being run by this underpowered hardware is just amazing. So they really have done quite a bit to make this game. Oh man, I'm getting much better at this. I used to never be able to make it across this bridge. Sound and music. Sound and music is good. I'll just say that. Sound and music is good. High quality. Please, oh please, oh please, oh please go. Nothing like making you feel antsy. Oh, so far. Got so far. So far, yet so far. Music. Obviously, the music is high quality. It's gone down in history. Very catchy. Koji Kondo just makes really, really, really good music. Fine. I'll play it right. Story and theme, narrative. Okay, so kind of touched on this already. Like, it's just a really well-structured hero's journey. The hero with 1,000 faces structure. The world building is done really well. It's kind of the beginning of establishing many Zelda, continuing Zelda tropes. They really went super heavy into the story because they had the expanse to do so. They started that in Link's Awakening, and then they upped their ante. Up there any here. Engagement and addictiveness. Mostly the game evokes nostalgia for me. It's pretty hard to objectively... I mean, I felt like this game was the expanse of everything when I first played it. Like, it's just so... It was so big. And it was a story that I could just progress through at my own pace, and it took skill, and it took challenge. I think the game is engaging. The dungeons are good. I like the dungeons in this game a lot. There's so much about them that was done right, and not a ton that was done wrong. Kind of like if you don't like dungeons like this, you won't have a great experience, but as far as the dungeons themselves, I think they're well made. Addictiveness, is there just one more turn feeling? I remember as a kid definitely feeling like that. At this point, I feel like there are very graceful exit points. You know, you finish a dungeon, and then, you know, there's such a completed feeling that you just can save it and turn it off. It definitely doesn't feel like Hades, where I genuinely feel like, oh, give me one more run. Novelty. Yeah, I mean, it's 3D. It's 3D Zelda. Yes. It's got tons of new concepts, and it's a fresh take on an existing one at the same time. They solved a lot of problems with the cameras, the controls, etc., etc. What can a game designer learn from this game's innovation and creativity? Maybe don't be afraid of exploring new ways of expressing old mechanics. This is a 2D series that made it into 3D. And they did it by making it more cinematic, but they had to upend a ton of conventions that had been established across the first 3 games. So I would say that this is part of the debate sequence. Maybe this is the catalyst? I don't know. Get nuances about where the save the cat lies. I don't really know. It's not that big of a deal. It seems to me that breaking into Act 2 would be when you pull the sword from the pedestal, though. So, criticisms and improvements. What didn't work well or could be improved? The camera could be improved, the controls could be improved, the combat can be improved. All of these they've iterated on over the years. There's nothing tremendously new that I could say here. Like, this is just, it's the first. It made a massive leap, technological leap, and came into 3D very gracefully. It has some shortcomings. Any suggestions that I have are basically do what you did in later games. I still don't think that there's a perfect Zelda game. Like if you took Breath of the Wild and managed to capture the quality of the dungeons from Skyward Sword, that would be pretty incredible. It's the man with the yellow hat. He didn't believe it was a prophecy. Okay, so Princess Zelda here is young and naive, and I find it interesting that the two of you are thick as thieves and go to save the world, but in trying to save the world, you basically doom the world. Kind of a bummer. Okay. These camera fly-throughs everywhere. Look what we can do with the camera! It's so beautiful. She's not wrong. She's not wise yet. Interesting that she embodies the Triforce of Wisdom, and she had to earn her wisdom like everyone else. Now she's too smart for her own good. Naive. A naive 10-year-old trying to save the world in the wrong way. So what have I learned this playthrough so far? Got about 45 minutes left on this stream. What have I learned so far? I've probably learned that I want to pay attention to the dungeons more. Because this story is fine, you know, it's presented pretty well. I know that it follows the save the cat structure really solidly. Or if not the save the cat structure, it follows the hero's journey structure pretty well. But were these dungeons as good as I remember them? Are they accessible as I remember them? Or were they mostly like I know how to do them because I played them as a kid and I had a strategy guide at the time? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's right. I learned Zelda's Lullaby. So let's say that was the catalyst. Like, you need to stop him or something. Then that would make this set of sequences the debate. Which is stretching it. What am I going to do? Am I going to take the sword out of the pedestal? Am I going to stop Ganondorf? Those don't really fit those questions. But thematically, the throughput is more important for the Save the Cat than anything else, in my opinion. I am HO. Alright, let's go. Let's go to D Mountain. Let's death that mountain. Wonder if I can set a minimum bitrate. This is from the ones that I've watched, it's a little garbly looking, and YouTube's recommending that I bump it about 3 times higher than what I've currently got it at. So I've got this place set up on my as like a Steam VR home place, and it's really trippy to be in this setting. I guess I can just go right up, but right? Because I can just give the guy my letter. That's interesting. So I can blast through the plot, but is there any reason that I should hang around here? I feel like there should be. A little bit of hoop jumping to get to where I'm trying to go, or do they mostly just want... Yeah, nobody takes kids seriously. We're not in the Goonies, apparently. Mr. Hero. Hero! Okay, so they're saying that I should go back and get a shield. Don't need to, but they're saying go ahead and backtrack. Spin off a side quest here. Guy works too much for his kid. Yeah, what's around this place? Because I have a lot of fond memories of spending time in Kakariko Village, but I don't... There's a difference between, like, being required to. I mean, at this point, as a grown-up, as an adult, I just kind of... Bare minimum is not necessarily how I play, but I just do what's interesting, and oftentimes that's just... I know that I have limited time, and so I don't invest a huge amount of time into Not ready for that, huh? Well, your kids are gonna love it. This song is incredible. I have so many nostalgias around that song. And how do I know to play the Crest of the Royal Family of Hyrule inscribed here? Royal Family's Tomb. Yeah, how do I know to play Zelda's Lullaby? Is this just trial and error? Is it inferred strongly enough? Seemed to not be that big of a surprise to me as a kid. It was cool, and this video sequence is great. Ominous. But he's got his Mako reactor eyes there. Why would I think that makes sense? I'm gonna go play this song in front of that just because it's a Hyrule thing, because there's a Triforce on the ground. That wasn't Nintendo taught to me. I wasn't handheld through that the first time. Oh, hey. I forgot that happened. I was assuming I needed to light those 2 torches. These guys are freaking crazy. Hate them. Childhood scared of them still. This poem is dedicated to the memory of the dearly departed members of the royal family. The rising sun will eventually set, a newborn's life will fade. From sun to moon, moon to sun, give peaceful rest to the living dead. That is an interesting poem, huh? Interesting that it's not explicitly clear what that does. Restless souls wander where they don't belong, bringing them calm with the sun's song. That's almost a better poem than the one written on the wall originally. And that you get immediate use by playing it in here. I guess you could have gotten this song before going to the castle in the first place. No? No, I guess not, because you would need Zelda's Lullaby. Never mind, that's gated behind that by getting Zelda's Lullaby. Hey there, Dampe. Hey kid, don't mess around with the graves. That doesn't sound very great. I'm pretty sure I could get a heart piece or something out of that. I'm not super interested in exploring that right now. Okay. I mean, do I need a shield? Let's go get a shield. Let's just do it real fast. Might be daytime by the time we get there. I love that. I don't remember how much this shield is, but I feel like it's 80. Let's just cover those bases. Ah! That looks like me in the morning. Yeah, 80. $75. Super good deal. Okay, okay. Let's set up Death Mountain. It is interesting to see how the expanse of the world increments up. They don't just open up the entire world to you like they essentially do in Breath of the Wild. Well, Breath of the Wild feels much more free. This one feels I don't know, guided. And bringing this back, I've never actually asked my mom to play this game, but you know, when I was playing Breath of the Wild, I mentioned how my mom, when this game was brand new in 2017 and everyone was playing it, I was like, my mom could play this, she would really like it. She's not a gamer at all. But I asked her to play it and she was like, what do you do? It's too open. Excuse me. Too confusing, too many options. She wanted a little bit more hand-holding, and I feel like this one, there's, as far as where to go and what to do is great, but actually pulling it off and playing the game, I think she would have a harder time with this game. Like, this is, on a technical level, harder to control and manipulate than Breath of the Wild is. Yay, heart. That's what I was aiming for. This place definitely has a different vibe. Already directing me to go back to where I was. So that's an interesting choice. To maximize the expansiveness of the world, they kind of have you running back and forth between these places. You know, it's like, oh, go to Death Mountain, but also go say hi to Soraya. Oh, you got here to Kakariko Village, why don't you go back to the castle town you just were to get your shield? It's really, like, curious about what that means. Like, how that kind of works from a design perspective there. This place is definitely quirky. Yeah, okay, so this is the first time that you need to use the song. You're standing on a what does it say? You're standing on a soft carpet for guests. It feels so plush under your feet. How do I know to play Zelda's Lullaby there? Looking at this, how do I know? Alright, that's a pretty good one. I'll wait in here for the royal family's messenger. The song of the royal family. Are there any other hints? I mean, if that's all it is, that's plenty enough, but I'm curious. Oh, we don't get many visitors. What's a forest? That's funny. It is mildly ironic, because the forest is right through there. It's not that difficult. Okay, so I haven't really heard their plight yet. Okay, now this guy's hungry. Bring fire. Alright, so getting a sense of everything, but that guy said that he's waiting for the messenger, so let's see. What's up, smart guy? Good to see you. So smart guy animations. An animator? Oh, come on. It's pretty cool though that kind of shoves you off. Is that because I get pushed backwards by the jars, which then pushes me off the ledge, that pushes me into braver mode. What the heck? Who are you? Used to be an animator. Cool. Why'd you stop? Oh, cool. Get out of my face. Definitely sounds like a big brother. You know, I've never played Roblox. It came out when I was already an adult, and I think from the surface, Roblox is interesting, but I've just never opened it. And I have mixed feelings about letting my... I mean, I've got a 5-year-old, and, you know, like, live chats with randos online with a 5-year-old is not super awesome. Conceptually. So... let's see. I think I might, if I'm clever, I might be able to blow that up. But I think in reality I need to just run all the way back to... Right? Are there any torches that are lit down here? No. And then, you know, I played Tears of the Kingdom, and I just didn't super love the building aspects in Tears of the Kingdom. It was like my least favorite part. So I was like, well, I mean, you got Roblox there, so I just haven't ever picked up Roblox. Alright, 15 minutes left on the stream before I need to go. So basically you're still an animator, you're just animating on Roblox. I think it's cool that that's like even a thing. Actually, now I'm trying to think about it. Why do I know that I need to go back to see Soraya? Is it just because I'm lost enough that I push up C and Navi tells me that I need to go back to see Soraya? I wonder what Soraya would think. Like, alright, that's cool. We can wonder what Soraya thinks. Doesn't seem to be in line with everything else, but you know, in hindsight I know that that's gonna make Darunia feel happier when he listens to Saria's song. Is it Saria or Soraya? I don't know. So, I wonder if this would feel as fetch questy. Because that's I remember when I was much younger, my I have some older brothers. One of my older brothers, much older than me, like 11 or 12 years older than me, or something like that. He's like, yeah, Zelda, that game where you just constantly run back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And, you know, at the time I didn't know that the term for that was a fetch quest. And this game definitely feels like that. It makes me wonder if the reason it feels like that is because they're trying to maximize their Um, okay. Did she find you already? Okay, so Soraya wanted to see me. How do I know where to find Soraya? Really interested in what they're actually telling me. No, he's just a tutorial dude. Soraya said she's waiting at the usual spot. Alright. We haven't talked in real life, Soraya. I don't actually know the usual spot, though I do appreciate the setting up as if it were a spot that I should know, that we're friends and all that. So, Mido, do you get to help me? Oh, no, you're not Mido. Are you going to go away? I already did. I already went away. Now, I know that Soraya's in the Lost Woods, but I'm just curious how I'm supposed to know that. Going to the Lost Woods. Alright. Hey, Mido. Why don't you tell me? Whoa. You're looking for Soraya. She's in the Lost Woods. As usual. Don't tell me you don't know where that is. The entrance is up on the cliff overlooking the village. I know you'll get lost. Don't worry, you'll just end up back at the entrance. Harumph. He's a grumpy head. Okay. So, alright, so narrowed down to the Lost Woods. So, they're up here. And then the Lost Woods are Lost Woods for a reason, and she's at the usual spot. So how am I supposed to know how to get through the Lost Woods? I always loved that the bullet was still sitting there, the particle for it. That's right, I did. I have to give a neat present to such a wonderful person. I'm required by law. Because you're neat, I'm required by law to give you this. Okay, so it's subtle. The music does get louder. The music does get louder when I get to the right one. Hey over here. Thank you. After going through the Lost Woods, you'll come upon the sacred forest meadow. That is a sacred place where few people have ever walked. Oh, okay, so I've already made it through a couple rooms, but now he's telling me how to do it. Yeah, it's pretty interesting to test it. Now, you know, exiting, you get this fog effect that I don't know if that was on the original hardware or not, but the fog effect means you're gonna leave, so don't go that direction. It's not here. Cloud. Fog effect. Yep. No music. So go where the music is. Fog effect. Fog effect. Music. But then it gets confusing if you rely on that one too much, because these ones have the fog effect. All three of them have the fog effect, but only one of them has the music. So you really need to pay attention to the music. You need to know what you're doing. Interesting. Okay, fine. Yeah, the battle controls in this game are not perfect. Guess I could shield. Hadn't done that. Yeah, it's been so long since I've played this game from the perspective of a new player. This has been an interesting one, trying to just understand, like, how do I know what to do instead of just... I've played this a million times. This is almost... this is almost the... Oh, and then I've got my... the wrong shield to be useful. Classic Zelda top-downness. It's a little confusing because the camera rotates with you instead of staying fixed north. Easy to get lost. I do think it's interesting that this ladder to the left is not it's not super obvious. Come on. Up. Okay, I have to push up. It's not super obvious from this first angle. It's not until you come back through the second time that hey. It's a whole lot easier to see that ladder, and it's like, oh, that's obvious. And then once you, it's that shortcut back. So what's the purpose of coming back here and talking to Soraya? Like, from a story perspective, what is it that the writers were trying to do by having you come back? Mechanically, it makes the world feel more expansive and you get to backtrack and get more familiar with the world and things like that. But why do I need to go from the Kokiri Forest to the castle, be told to go to the Death Mountain, then when I'm at Death Mountain, I have to go back to the forest to get back to Death Mountain. What's the value in doing that? Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, okay. The Flintstones. Or the Jetsons, whichever one is. I promise. I think the relationship between you and Soraya is the most interesting one in this whole game. Growing up. Growing up sucks. It's hard. It comes with sacrifices. It's kind of what it feels like. Your relationship with Soraya is about showing you that growing up comes with sacrifices. Alright, well, that is my 2-hour stream. That was pretty great. Let's see what's up tomorrow. Don't need that. Don't need that. Let's see. Tomorrow is The Witcher 3. Cool. Alright, y'all. Have a good one.